We are counting down 9 life lessons once woven into daily family life, rules that mothers in the 1950s made non-negotiable, but today's kids rarely encounter. From expectations around work and respect to lessons in hardship and resilience, these principles shaped entire generations and quietly disappeared with time. As we trace the values that set boundaries, demanded perseverance, and made children adjust to the world, not the other way around, one question stands out. Which forgotten lesson laid the foundation for everything else? Let's begin with number 1. In the 1950s, family life ran on a simple rule. Children were expected to fit into the household, not the other way around. At the dinner table, a child's voice waited until spoken to. A 1952 Ladies' Home Journal column advised that children speak when spoken to, preserving household order. Mealtime conversation unfolded on the adult's timetable, with kids listening quietly, learning patience as parents discussed work, news, or neighbors. A Rhode Island mother raised in the era remembers sitting quietly at dinner while parents talked and learning patience fast. The payoff was clear. Children developed the ability to await their turn, follow adult conversations, and understand that their needs were not always the priority. Those habits translated into smoother logistics for large families and prepared kids for adult environments where self-restraint and observation mattered. The trade-off was that some children felt their opinions did not count, and rigid homes could breed resentment. Today, the pendulum has swung. Children's preferences often dictate meals, schedules, and even adult discussions. The result is a generation less practiced in patience, sometimes struggling when the world does not cater to them. For families seeking a balance, one practical takeaway remains. Try reserving one meal each week as adult talk time, giving children a chance to practice listening and waiting their turn. In the 1950s, this lesson was the foundation. Everything else built on the understanding that the world did not revolve around you. In second place, hard work was simply expected, not rewarded. In the 1950s, chores were woven into the fabric of family life, not as a means to earn pocket money, but as a daily contribution to the household. The 1955 USDA Home Economics Guide spelled it out. Making beds, washing dishes, raking leaves, these were family duties, not negotiable tasks. Surveys from 1957 confirm it. 85% of children did chores every day, while only 1 in 10 received any kind of allowance. For most kids, the reward for mowing the lawn or scrubbing the floor was a seat at the dinner table, not a dollar in their pocket. A boomer recalls, "I mowed the lawn daily, no pay, just ate dinner." This approach taught competence and responsibility early on. By age 21, most boomers had already left home, years ahead of today's average. The trade-off was clear. Children learned to pitch in without expecting applause, but they missed out on early lessons in financial management. By contrast, modern routines often tie every task to a reward chart or negotiation, sending the message that effort only matters if it is compensated. The measurable difference is striking. Today, about 40% of kids receive allowances for basic household chores. For families seeking to recapture some of that 1950s grit, a single unpaid chore each week can remind children that belonging means contributing, not just collecting stickers or cash. Third on our list, discomfort was not treated as a crisis in the 1950s. It was a fact of life. Children expected to feel bored, hungry, or left out, and mothers rarely rushed to fill the gap. The no-snack rule was standard. If you missed lunch, you waited until dinner, and between meals, the kitchen stayed closed. Boredom was not solved with television or gadgets. Instead, kids invented games, built forts from scrap wood, or wandered the neighborhood until dusk. A parent from the era remembers a typical reply, "Bored? Go play in the dirt." no television babysitter. Unsupervised play was the default, not the exception. Oral histories and archival footage show groups of children riding bikes for hours, learning to settle disputes and entertain themselves without adults stepping in. This approach built internal grit. Kids learned that discomfort passed, and surviving it made them stronger. Today, screens offer instant relief from the smallest twinge of boredom or frustration. Parents often treat minor hunger or tiredness as emergencies, rushing snacks and distractions to soothe every complaint. The shift is measurable. Modern children average over 7 hours of screen time a day, while children in the 1950s spent most afternoons outside, rain or shine. The payoff in the past was clear. Children developed patience, creativity, and the ability to self-soothe. The trade-off was that some needs went unmet, and emotional struggles could be overlooked. For families looking to revive a piece of this lesson, try a daily hour of screen-free, unscheduled time. Let children discover that discomfort is not only survivable, it is often the birthplace of resilience. Number 4. Reputation shaped everything in the 1950s. In neighborhoods where families stayed put for decades, a child's behavior did not just reflect on that child. It echoed through every block, classroom, and church pew. Gossip moved faster than any phone call. An offhand insult to a neighbor, a slip in manners at the grocery store, or a missed homework assignment could land a child's name in the next PTA meeting. Archival records from a 1954 Ohio PTA show minutes noting which students were described as dependable or in need of improvement, with character reports sometimes shared with local employers. For many families, reputation was currency. A good name could open doors to summer jobs, scholarships, or even a first car loan from the local bank. A bad reputation could mean exclusion from birthday parties, or, in rare cases, public shaming. A Milwaukee family was expelled from their church after a vandalism incident in 1956. The mechanics of enforcement were simple. Parents, teachers, shopkeepers, and even beat police kept informal tabs, and word spread quickly. One boomer recalls that if you were rude to Mrs. Miller at the corner store, your mom knew before you got home, and you were grounded for weeks. The payoff was a strong sense of accountability and social capital. The trade-off was that sometimes individuality was stifled, and rumor could become a weapon. Today, reputations are more fragmented. Social media offers both anonymity and viral shame, but neighborhood memory is fleeting. The measurable difference is striking. Communities in the 1950s had twice as many social ties as today, according to sociologist Robert Putnam. For families seeking to revive a sense of accountability, talking about how word spreads in a community can remind children that conduct still matters, even in a digital world where faces change but consequences remain. Number 5. Figuring it out yourself was a rite of passage for children in the 1950s. When a bicycle chain slipped or a homework problem stumped them, mothers rarely swooped in with solutions. Diaries from the era describe children patching flat tires with borrowed tools or negotiating schoolyard disputes without adult referees. One boomer remembers that if you fought with a friend, you fixed it, no calling your mom. This hands-off approach was not neglect. It was a quiet vote of confidence in a child's ability to solve problems. Parents seldom contacted teachers over minor academic struggles, trusting kids to manage their own setbacks. The expectation was clear. Resourcefulness mattered more than perfection. In today's world, the script has flipped. Modern parents often intervene at the first sign of trouble, emailing teachers about a missed assignment or stepping in to mediate playground conflicts. The rise of helicopter parenting has measurable effects. Studies show children now report lower self-confidence in handling challenges alone. The payoff in the 1950s was a generation that grew up expecting to tackle problems head-on, building confidence through trial and error. The trade-off? Some kids fell through the cracks, struggling in silence without support. For families who want to revive a piece of this lesson, try designating one problem each week that the child must solve on their own. Whether fixing a toy or resolving a sibling spat, the lesson endures. Learning to figure things out for yourself is the foundation of lifelong independence. Number 6. Respect for elders was non-negotiable in the 1950s. Children addressed adults as sir or ma'am, not just parents but teachers, neighbors, and even the grocer down the street. A 1953 Good Housekeeping column put it plainly: deference builds character. Backtalk was met with swift discipline, sometimes as simple as a stern look, sometimes as memorable as a bar of soap in the mouth. A boomer recalls that you learned quick. School conduct codes and etiquette columns reinforced the message. Adults held authority by virtue of age and experience. Children's role was to listen, obey, and show courtesy. This was not just about manners, it was a social protocol that prepared children for future workplaces, where deference to supervisors or clients was expected. Politeness was seen as a reflection of character, and being known as respectful opened doors in tight-knit communities. The trade-off was real. Blind obedience sometimes enabled unfairness or silenced legitimate complaints, especially in classrooms or homes where authority went unchecked. Today, the debate has shifted. Children are encouraged to speak up and question adults, sometimes at the expense of basic courtesy. The measurable difference is clear. While the old system taught hierarchy and smooth social navigation, it often came at the cost of autonomy. For families wanting to revive a sense of respectful interaction, practicing yes ma'am or no sir at home can be a small but powerful reminder that deference, when balanced with self-respect, still matters. Number 7. Eating what was served or going hungry was a non-negotiable rule in a 1950s household. Dinner meant one meal, prepared by the mother, and every family member ate the same thing at the same time. Magazine ads from the era, like a 1951 Ladies' Home Journal feature, made the message clear: no pickiness, nourishment first. If a child disliked the main dish, the only alternative was to wait until breakfast. There were no backup peanut butter sandwiches, no separate pots of macaroni for picky eaters, and certainly no negotiations at the table. This approach streamlined family logistics, reduced food waste, and reinforced the idea that meals were about sustenance, not entertainment. The economics of the post-war baby boom demanded efficiency. Mothers managed large families and tight budgets, so catering to individual preferences was simply impractical. The food industry itself reflected this. Swanson's television dinner launched in 1954, promising convenience for the whole family, but it was not until the 1960s that kid-targeted foods like Cap'n Crunch cereal appeared, signaling a shift toward individualized eating. By the 1970s, the market for child-friendly meals had doubled, and the one-meal rule began to fade. The payoff in the 1950s was clear. Children learned gratitude, adaptability, and the value of shared routines. The trade-off was that allergies and genuine dislikes sometimes went unaddressed, and some kids went to bed hungry rather than eat spinach. Today, separate kid menus and backup meals are the norm, teaching children that holding out gets results. For families looking to reclaim a piece of this lesson, try serving one meal for everyone. No substitutions, no negotiations. The lesson is not about control. It is about learning to appreciate what is provided and understanding that not every preference will be met. Number 8. In the 1950s, your feelings never excused your behavior. Mothers understood that emotions were real: anger, frustration, jealousy, but those feelings did not grant permission to lash out, slam doors, or talk back. The rule was simple: you could feel anything, but you still had to act right. Dr. Benjamin Spock's 1946 bestseller, Baby and Child Care, captured the spirit of the era. It told parents to reassure children that it is all right to feel angry, but to make clear it is not all right to hit or disrespect. This approach separated emotion from conduct. A child could sulk, but a tantrum at the dinner table meant swift consequences, not gentle negotiation. A boomer remembers, mad, still say please, no tantrums. Discipline was calm but firm. Mothers acknowledged hurt feelings, but the expectation was unwavering. Manners and self-control came first. In contrast, modern parenting often blurs the line, treating emotional outbursts as invitations to renegotiate boundaries. Today's advice, use your words, sometimes means any feeling justifies any reaction. The measurable shift is clear. 1950s children learned to regulate themselves, while today's kids are more likely to expect adults to adjust the rules when emotions run high. The payoff for emotional discipline was lasting stability. Children grew up able to function in workplaces and relationships that did not bend to their moods. The trade-off, of course, was that some children learned to repress feelings, and unaddressed anxiety often went unnoticed. For families looking to reclaim this balance, one practical rule endures. Feel whatever you feel, but treat others with respect no matter what is happening inside. And finally, in first place, the lesson that life isn't fair, and that is fine, served as the underlying philosophy for an entire generation. Children in the 1950s were told outright that some kids would have more toys, better bikes, or bigger bedrooms, and there was little sympathy for complaints about it. Mothers responded to cries of "that's not fair" with a steady refrain. Life isn't fair, get used to it. The message was clear. Resentment didn't change reality, and envy wasn't rewarded. Instead, children learned to make do with what they had, patching up old baseball gloves or sharing hand-me-downs without protest. A boomer from Chicago remembers that his friend got a new bike for Christmas. He rode his old one, and that was that. This approach built a quiet kind of resilience. Children grew up expecting setbacks and understood that disappointment was not a crisis. The payoff was a generation equipped to handle layoffs, broken hearts, and missed promotions without falling apart. The trade-off, though, was that some kids internalized a sense of powerlessness, and real inequalities, whether in wealth, opportunity, or treatment, were often ignored or dismissed. Today, the conversation has shifted. Modern surveys show that 67% of Gen Z believe society should do more to address inequalities, and fairness is treated as a right, not a privilege. Protests over equal outcomes are common, and parental anxiety over unfair situations runs high. The measurable difference is stark. Where children in the 1950s learned to adapt to uneven outcomes, today's kids often expect the world to adjust to them. For families hoping to revive some of that old resilience, try discuss one unfair situation each day, not to solve it, but to practice acceptance. In the end, the lesson wasn't about accepting injustice. It was about learning to keep going when life doesn't play by your rules. Across all 9 lessons, one pattern stands out. 1950s mothers taught resilience by expecting children to adapt to the world, not the other way around. These lessons didn't shield kids from hardship. They prepared them for it. Today, as comfort grows, that preparation often fades. Childhood isn't just about protection, it's about building character that lasts. Which of these lessons do you think we need most now? Share your thoughts below.